We have a project going on in Switzerland with LSD for people who are dying with anxiety. There was a lot of work with LSD in the late 60s, early 70s with cancer patients. Hefter's funding some projects with psilocybin for cancer patients. And we have now a study about to start at Harvard Medical School with MDMA for cancer patients. The last psychedelic research at Harvard took place in 1965. So now, 41 years later, 42 years later, early next year, we're going to start that study. So basically, you have the opportunity to try to integrate into our culture through your work on drug policy reform and through your own personal explorations to show that we can be motivated by psychedelics, but it's not about the drugs, it's about what we produce. So where we were able to survive at Burning Man, and Burning Man is also, there is a lot of conflict with the law there at Burning Man. It's a very delicate situation, and we were such a prominent, NPN Village was there, but I felt like we had the lines of defense. We had the psychedelic community clearly in our name and everything. The police are there looking to give tickets for you smoke a joint and they give you a $500 fine. So they've got a lot of incentives to make money off of people. But we were like a target-rich environment. We had the leaders of the drug policy review reform movement. We had Rob, we had Ethan, we had Marcia. We just had a lot of the board of directors of their organization. We had Richard, we had myself, we had Matt. We were a target-rich environment. And yet, what we were offering was the products of psychedelics, both in science through the lecture series, in art through all of our artists, and then we had a team of people from Switzerland who are part of the Zen community in Switzerland, and they built a Zendo, a meditation center. So we had art, science, and spirituality, and that's what we were offering to the community. And behind it, we were just normal people who happened to have been motivated by psychedelics. And because the focus was on what we were offering rather than on the drugs, we were able to find a place that was safe. And I think that it's that same theme that will help us in the culture as we move towards drug policy reform. It's what we offer. And it's not only what we offer to those of us who are attracted to being scouts, but what do we offer to the people that are left behind, the people that are in the mainstream. So what I've done is, at 18, as I said, I decided to become an underground psychedelic therapist. Shortly, a few years after that, fortunately, President Carter, the very first day in office, what he did was he pardoned all the draft resistors. Now, we know that Clinton tried to do something with gays in the military, but his first day in office, but he didn't follow through on it, and it was something that other people needed to work with him on. But Carter pardoned all the draft resistors, so that made it so that now I could think about a normal career. And so what I decided to do was to take, in a way, how do you embed what we're doing in the culture? And it's through medicine and pharmaceutical companies. So one way is through religion. And I think that we all need these paths in parallel, but our culture tends to be more open to psychedelics, more open to medicines. So in 1986, I started MAPS, Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, and it's maps.org, all sorts of information on the web, and it's basically a nonprofit psychedelic and marijuana pharmaceutical company. And that's how we conceive of ourselves. In order to learn how to do that, well, I eventually went to Harvard, the Kennedy School of Government, and got my master's and PhD from there with my dissertation on how to regulate the medical use of psychedelic drugs and marijuana. So I'm kind of very narrowly focused on this aspect of drug policy reform. But we have a pharmaceutical company. We don't have a product for sale yet, but we have a series of studies that have been approved. It's taken us 20 years almost to get some of these early studies started. Now we are also at this transition stage, and what I have described it in our latest MAPS bulletin, where we're just going to press now, is that there's 3 stages of our organization. The first stage was our low maintenance, high performance stage, where we were frustrated, we were blocked, we hardly got permission for anything, it didn't cost much money, few staff, and we fought the good fight, and eventually we've been able to get permission. And now we're moving into our high maintenance, high performance phase, where we're going to need to spend $10 million over the next 5 years or so on a series of large scale studies. 5 to 10 years. So I figure this will be a decade of high maintenance, high performance. And then we are going to have products for sale that will be the psychedelics, hopefully marijuana as well. And we will do it in a nonprofit context. And we are offering it to people who would never normally do psychedelics. So our first studies are post-traumatic stress disorder for people who've been raped, people who've been brutalized, people who've been in wars. The other parallel approach that we have going is to help people that are dying. People that are really scared of dying are actually more scared of that than they are of drugs. So I think we're able to bring things forward in a tremendous way. And it's up to all of us to try to demonstrate what we have to offer to society, not to think of ourselves as counterculture. And now, the other thing that I'd like to say is just that it's an interplay between our own personal growth and our own political work. I mean, that's what Ethan talked about in terms of his ego. So that, I've been fortunate back the first time we were suing DEA for blocking MDMA in 1985, I was offered a big Ibogaine experience, LSD experience in a therapeutic way. So it's this constant oscillation between our own inner work and our outer work. And so the themes for the inner work, and then we'll open up for questions, are as you approach these things, I think the key point is to think about that you need really to give yourself a safe space, because you are going to be taking yourself apart. And you need a safe place, and you need like 2 days. Really, the first day to have the experience, the second day to think it over and to integrate it. And it's not just about the experience, it's what you bring back. So you create this safe place. You may have a friend there to sit with you, to assist you, because you lose track of what's inner and what's outer. You really lose track of all of those things, and you don't want to have any survival responsibilities in case there's a fire. And you want to turn that over to somebody else so that you can disintegrate your sense of self and go inward. Then, once you have this safe space, it's important to think both of yourself and whoever is there to help you that you're sitting, not guiding. What that means is that you're not, if you're helping somebody, or even yourself, you're not having to say, this is where we need to go. I have this map, I know I'm going to tell you where you need to go, or that you have to know yourself where you need to go. You're just observing, you're sitting, you're helping, you're offering support. The unconscious is the guide. It's like you're dreaming. The dreams come up, where they go, you follow them. Then the other part is that, as Matt said, we talk through, not talk down. The goal is that you are not trying to avoid anxiety, avoid fear, avoid all these difficult experiences. That you're not saying, it'll be better tomorrow, it's just a drug. That's not what we do. We offer psychedelic psychotherapy, and the idea is that you go into these problems, you talk yourself through them, and a lot of times it's like grieving when somebody dies. You do not try to pretend it doesn't matter. You go through the difficult emotions. And then that's the last theme, is that difficult is not the same as bad. So that when you're working with people, it's okay if it's difficult. It's not fun. I mean, the whole concept to cheapen drugs has been, they're all recreational. They're all for hedonistic, escapism kind of purposes. And that's, I think, really a very pernicious thought. And it's not about just having fun. It's about opening to whatever that is. And you'll find that you can have the deepest, most beautiful experiences as you go through the difficult phases. I mean, that's just a general way to think about guiding your own experiences. And really do recognize that it's on us to demonstrate to others, those of us who've decided to incorporate these substances into our lives, that we have something to offer, that it's something, what we bring back. And one of the things that SSDP did that has most impressed me, that I think it's still needs to be developed even more, they had a t-shirt, and it was, have you talked to your parents about drugs? I think we need to bring it back to the culture. So that's